Here's what's coming up on the box seat. Cam Hart gives us his thoughts on Swayze's performance last Saturday night. In-form Waiuku trainer Michelle Wallace joins the box seat to discuss her stable's recent success. Craig, known as the Whale, he's back with catch and release. Anthony Buck chats about the ever-consistent Tact McLeod. Zachary Butcher takes us through the exciting return of Duchess Megxit, as well as the latest on Merlin. And we look at the Group 1 markets with Adam Hamilton. All that and more coming right up on the box seat. Yes, there's plenty of questions I'm sure that you at home would love the answers to, and we probably might not even get the answers to those in regards to the Miracle Mile tonight. Looking forward to having Adam Hamilton catch up with us a wee bit later on in one of the great renditions of the mighty race. Some good Kiwis have done it over the years. You think back to the double of Chokin, Christian Cullen, a very popular win most recently. Chris and Me, Have Faith in Me, amongst many others. Greg O'Connor is away for one more week, so Michael Guerin has made the trek south to join us once again. Great to have you back on the show, Michael, and we're set for what could be one for the ages this weekend, the Miracle Mile. Hi to you.
Nice to be back, mate. Thanks for having me. Big hi to everybody watching, and hope you enjoyed the barrier draw for the Kiwi. It's going to be a long Saturday, Matthew, because that's going to be an awfully big day for New Zealand racing. But the Miracle Mile is a special race to this country. It's probably the race we've had the most success in over a long period of time, dating back to Robin Dundee. My first ever day in Australia, I've never been there before, was 1991 when Christopher Vance came from last to win the Miracle Mile that Chokin fell over in. One of the most dramatic Miracle Miles. It's been a very special race to me. Unfortunately, we can't be there this week because, as you said, something very special and two Kiwis in the race, just maybe not the ones many of us expected.
Holmes DG, Spankham, Monkey King, and of course the fastest of them all, Myfield Marshall, and his driver Anthony Butt will be joining us later on in the show. Before we look forward, we take a look back at last week's highlights.
Put his neck in front, now his whole body from one overall. Then came Midnight Dash from Mystic Max. Benton win the leader, he's a neck in front from one overall. He's not going to get off the canvas and beat him. Benton win too good first up, he's in for a good campaign. Running out of highway. Beside me, well, we're all beside her and cheering her on for the upcoming features. She's a stunning filly. Beside me, untouched by 5 lengths. The dashboard shaking. Not going to get Captain Commodore though. That's a good effort, fresh up. Captain Commodore by 2. Every turn by memory, by feet. Dalton Shard ahead in front from Bazooka, who's been brave, but Dalton Shard.
He's a horse in the upper right. He's where he's come from, big jump up. Does always a bugger just to do what he has to. Like he sort of got his head in front and sort of pulled up. So.
Better be sharp. He's so brave and he's going to score. They just couldn't get past. Better be sharp.
Faith in Manchester, through on the inside is stablemate American Muscle. American Muscle and Faith in Manchester for the Northern Breeders. American Muscle.
You know, she's a lovely mare. You know, she's won about 9 races, and you know, she always just seems to find one better. But tonight was her night. You know, and she Tony just drove her perfect. You know, and everything fell into her place, and I'm so happy for her and the owners and everyone involved.
Down at the 120, and Blissful Isolation is without you. She's not for catching tonight. The Captain Crunch filly, and she's going to career away here for the first. Without you easily. Colonel Lincoln's punching through as well. A 4-way tussle. They hit it, Rivera.
Ko-Fi Summit, Trans-Tasman Bubble needing the line. Ko-Fi Summit flies and might have got there. The outside double time has gone past Pink Seeker, and it's double time for the Rangiora Classic.
Yeah, it's a nice country cup horse, but obviously he's just been a wee bit out of form, but no, he's class on through today.
It's still Bay of Biscay with 50 to go, gripping on, and Bay of Biscay into the Miracle Mile next week, in which the Chariots of Fire.
Yeah, I'm so happy for the horse. He really deserved a race like this, and for all his connections as well. They're all great people and put a lot of support in me, and you know, we know how well bred he is, and obviously I'm sure they'd like to make him a stallion one day, so to put the trust in me to get some big wins with him and put on great performances like that, yeah, very great.
The leader is Don Hugo, getting out sooner the better. Don's still in front, catch a wave late, they hit the line, and Don Hugo from barrier 10, if you don't mind, stops the clock in 1:48.
Yeah, like he's to show his strength there, you know, and he's just awesome off cover as well. So, you know, you add in Swayze, Leap of Fame, yeah, it's going to be a great race.
Swayze on the outside, Tack McLeod. Swayze, he lifts off the canvas. He's an outstanding horse. He was just about out on his feet at the 250, and he's fended him off to beat Tack McLeod.
Well, it just seems to be the way, doesn't it, with Swayze? We all think he's out on his feet, Michael, and somehow, somewhere, he goes to the well and just finds that bit extra that 99.9% of horses can't do.
No, and he's up against the other horse who can this week in Leap to Fame, and a new improved Don Hugo. I saw in the highlights package your new girlfriend beside me. There's a bit of equine love going on there.
Yeah, I think so. Just like the way that she moves, 27 third quarter shows that she's got a fair bit of strength, and I think she's a wee bit untapped as well. So she'll head to Auckland now. Caduceus Club obviously go on to the Oaks as well. They had All You Need Is Me for the same ownership group last year, and I think this filly might just be a little bit better than her, and that's saying something after her record last year. Let's move.
I put that to Cran actually, and he said, yeah, she's stronger. She's stronger, she'll cop it more.
Did he say that, or did he say...
No, he did. He said
that you didn't understand, and that's what you got out of it.
He said also something about her having a big bum. The other thing I saw in that highlight package, early contender for Drive of 2025, Bob Butt in the Rangiora Classic. I know it was off a handicap, and therefore you have to cut the corners. It was as good as you drive them. Punters won't love it because it paid a huge price, but it was a ripper.
Hindsight's a great thing though, isn't it, for his record? Just took a few runs to get ready this preparation, but it was a cracking race, and I guess our attention will point to that country championship final in a few weeks' time as well. That's going to be pretty deep.
Well, if that country championship, now been around for a couple of years, didn't have the dun horses, would only be half the size field. They have supported racing in so many different areas with those sort of horses. Every time they get one of those, you feel like it's a just reward. But very varied highlights. Grass, right-handed, 2-year-olds, old trotters, and, well, as you said, a Miracle Mile, which is shaping up as something really special.
And I'm sure in 7 days' time that'll be right at the top of the tree of our highlights package. Can Swayze hold off Leap to Fame? Well, one man who has got the best seat in the house and might be able to answer that is Cam Hart. Cam, welcome to the box seat. Great to have you back on board with us here once again. Have you got that real feel that it's Miracle Mile week?
Yeah, it's definitely a different week to most weeks here in Sydney, that's for sure. And yeah, always very excited when it comes around, and yeah, just really looking forward to the race on Saturday.
Evening, mate. It's not often you draw barrier 1 and it could be considered a disadvantage. I know when we spoke yesterday you were thinking your first job wasn't as much holding the lead but getting away from the marker pegs if and when you get crossed. Is that still how you view the start?
Yeah, I think so, Mick. Like, I'm confident he's going to get out well, but there is some flyers out wide, and it's a tricky draw to sort of work out, to be honest. All great horses, a lot of speed there, but yeah, I think hopefully our best shot is to be able to try and get off somewhere early and get him into the event.
We're looking at his gate speed, or relative lack of, compared with some of these horses from last week. Is there anything you can do in the prelim to wake him up and get him up on the chewy to give you more chance of, if not leading, holding the back of the leader so you've got the first chance to retake?
Yeah, I can wake him up a little bit in the warm-up. He was really sharp on Saturday, and as you see there, like the first 50 metres he got out really well, and I just selected to grab hold. You know, if I really wanted to hunt through, I wouldn't have been too far off the leaders at all. So, yeah, very confident that I'll be able to hold a forward spot. It's just where everything else ends up. Yeah, hopefully, if we do get crossed a couple of times, there'll be a bit of room for us somewhere. But yeah, we'll just have to play it by ear, and hopefully we have a bit of luck.
Cam, you and your mate have been able to beat Leap to Fame, his little younger half-brother, on a couple of occasions. Both times you've led and been against the marker pegs. Do you have to lead and be on the marker pegs to win this Miracle Mile?
No, I don't believe so. As we've seen, he's very versatile. Every run he has a new challenge sort of put to him, and he always ticks it off. And that's what champions do. And I don't believe he has to lead a Miracle Mile to win one. It's going to be a brutal run race, and I think that'll definitely play into our hands. He's one of the best stays in the race, even Leap to Fame, I believe. And providing we get out at some point, he'll definitely be running home strongly.
Cam, as harness racing fans, I guess we're wanting the record to be broken of 146.9. You as a driver would be hoping, like Luke McCarthy said to us last week, I'll try and go as slow as I can. But how fast do you think Swayze could go? Where's the bottom for him?
Oh, I definitely think he's got a 47 mile in him for sure. Like, he put up a 48.5 or 6 Saturday, and I think if I had something racing me the whole way, he'd have definitely went a lot quicker. So I think we'll be looking at around a 47 mile Saturday, and hopefully we're on the winning end of it.
You also picked up the Chariots of Fire there on Saturday night on a horse that you have got a pretty decent association with, Bay of Biscay, and the team have elected not to go on with it this week. But once you found the lead, he was always sort of in control, and he seemed to kick pretty hard up the straight.
Yeah, he was super impressive. I was really happy with his effort. He put up a great mile, and to be able to still be strong at the finish and run at 53.5 on the back of it, it was super impressive. Obviously, was very confident going into it that he was in great form and had the right draw, and it was just nice to be able to control the race, and for him to put up a performance like that was super impressive.
Cam, he's a horse who got beaten in a few derbies last year. You are in a derby this week against the new version of Bay of Biscay, maybe even better, a horse called Always Hot. So you're on a good horse, Go Mickey. What do you make of Always Hot, who came here a few weeks ago and was pretty dazzling, really?
Yeah, he looks one out of the box for sure, Mick. He's been super impressive. Every time he steps out, he looks to be getting better and better, and he definitely looks the benchmark. But it's such a great field of 3-year-olds this year. I thought there was some great runs in the heats on Saturday, and obviously he's drawn a little bit wider, the good horse, so it definitely brings a few other chances into the race.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Cam. I'm sure you're looking forward to the Miracle Mile. Us as fans are. It could be one for the ages, and you're set to be right amongst it. So thanks for tonight, and good luck on Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Obviously a rarity too, Matt. So he'll race in the Miracle Mile this week. That's 11:45 p.m. New Zealand time. But he'll still go to Penrith the following Friday. So 6 nights later, where if he wins that 5th leg of the Carnival of Cups, he gets $500,000. And it'll be against horses he should beat. So that would be a double nobody's tried before.
So then he goes to the Nullarbor, is that correct?
He goes to the Nullarbor, and you wouldn't think a horse would go to both, but he actually could do it. It's 3 weeks apart. It's quite a long time for him, considering what he's done already last season and what he is going to try and attempt to do in the back end of the next week. So there is a slot available which is untaken, more or less. I'm not saying he'll take it. I'm not saying he'll turn up, but it'd be awfully hard not to for $1 million. And if something happened to Leap to Fame, for example, then things would change, I think. But I think their intention is to go to the Nullarbor, and probably because of his gait, they might like to go there for a week earlier to give him a run, Matt, and that would make it a little bit more congested.
Well, Michelle Wallace and Bernie Hackett had a cracking night at Alexandra Park on Friday night, quinelling the Group 3 with 2 very good mares who have put together such wonderful records, to speak of American Muscle and Faith in Manchester. Michelle Wallace has kindly joined us on the box seat. Michelle, thanks so much for your time here tonight. I'm sure as an avid trotting fan, you would have been filled with joy to see those 2 mares fighting out the finish on Friday night.
Oh, absolutely. They've raced each other since the Jules as 2-year-olds, and there's never been much between them, and it's always sort of come down to who got the best run. And Faith in Manchester's probably been on top more times, but it was great to see American Muscle get her night in the limelight.
Well done, Mitch. Another double on the night. Just with this mare, she's obviously out of the trotting broodmare of the year. So will the Arguses be keen to keep going with her, or now, as a black type winner and a 10 race winner, would she potentially go in foal later in 2025?
Oh, look, it's not something I've actually discussed with them. She went through a bit of a flat patch last year, coming into Christmas, and we decided to give her a break, and if she didn't come back, she would have gone in foal. But I think as long as she's racing good and we can get races for her over the winter and that, I'm sure that she'll keep racing.
Mitch, her and Faith in Manchester take each other on again this week, but also Kai Valley Hotspur is in the same race. So you guys have a really strong team there. It's 2,200 metres. It's a tricky race. Who's your top tip for our viewers?
Oh, look, you'd have to sort of lean towards Kai Valley Hotspur, but, he's off 30 over 2,200 and it's a way stronger field than he struck last time. And, if the pace is hot up the front, he'll need a little bit of luck, but he should be running on as good as any of them. But the two girls are in form, and, you can never take away a form trotter.
Michelle, you've got Kai Valley Hotspur flying at the moment. He seems to be in a real happy place. What's been the key with him?
I'm not really sure, but he just seems to be liking Auckland, and, we've just been swimming him and just doing different things with him, and yeah, at the moment he's thriving.
Just quickly on Belneed, you also had her in the mares race. What was the report there from Crystal? She took a bit of support in the market. What were you guys sort of thinking post-race?
We were pretty disappointed with her, but she had a high heart rate when she came back in, and the vet came and, looked her over and said that she was a bit raspy in breathing. So she said there's a bit of that going around at the moment, and it was always going to be her last race. She was going out for a spell after that race, so she's gone to the paddock.
You almost had $1 million in the bank as trainers last year, so looking forward to this year, how's the team sort of shaping up? Have you got some young stock coming through?
Yeah, we've got some nice 3-year-old trotters coming through, probably no superstars, but they'll win their share of races, and we haven't really got much in the way of 2-year-olds this year. They're sort of looking like they could be a bit later, our 2-year-olds, but, Golden Gate helped, 3 wins that night, so yeah, hope we can do that again.
Mitch, you and Bernie got another one tonight, but there's a horse who won on Friday night also called Hillbilly Blues. I think he's a pretty smart horse. He has a good horse's action. He ran a good last half. You got him from Tony Herlihy, so is that an indication that he needed the beach physically or mentally?
No, physically. Tony just thought that the straight line would help him. He's a big horse, and he was just struggling going around the bends a little bit. And Tony just thought that take him away from the track and put him on the beach, and it would help his gait, which it has, and see, one thing about the line trotting, it can, when you work them in a straight line, it can teach them to stretch out more, and he's got a lovely big stride on him, and Tony does really like him. He said to me that Crystal wasn't getting on that one, it was his drive, so that's a good sign for me.
Is he a horse who could go most of the way to open class for whatever is open class these days?
Well, he's virtually there, isn't he, Mick? He's rating 54. He's only won 2 races, but he's rating 55, so he wins one more, and he's got to race those horses, which is not ideal for a young horse, like he's only had, 5 or 6 starts. But on ability, yeah, he'll get there.
You can always bring him south. Michelle would happily welcome you down here with him.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for your time. Good luck, and hopefully the team continues to go well.
No worries. Thank you very much.
It's quite a remarkable thing, Matt, when you think about what Michelle and Bernie and Crystal driving for them have done in the last 5 or 10 years. They have single-handedly, not so much now because it's improved, but single-handedly kept trotting going in the north. Now, Luck Chin's been a huge part of that, and some other people have played their roles, but man, it's remarkable how many races, which could have actually meant a whole race meeting had to be called off if they didn't have their horses in it. So they deserve every win they get, because trotting is now booming in the north, and they've been the key supporters of it.
Speaking of key supporters of all things harness racing, Craig the Whale Thompson, he'd be right up there. Craig, great to have you back on the show with us once again this week.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Lovely to join you and Michael on the box seat on a Tuesday. What caught my eye this week was, I tell you what, the sire performance of Captain Crunch. What a week he's had. He's had individual winners from Auckland right down to the bottom of the South Island, including this Quinella here from the Supremacy the other day. in Flashpoint and, of course, Captain Amore. Flashpoint, a really nice looking type, dashing up the inside by Captain Crunch. He's had winners at Alexandra Park, including Without You and Carrera Ombre, and also the likes of this horse here, who was super impressive in the hands of Carter Dalgetty and Captain Commodore. And of course, he's got Roy Kent going around at Alexandra Park on Friday night, drawn barrier number 1. So Captain Crunch having a big week, and a nice stallion, his oldest crop, only 3. Catch and Release this week. Catch is a lovely filly that went to the trials South Island last week and was super impressive coming from last in the form of Utah Jazz. She's a 3-year-old filly by Better's Delight, and have a look at this. In Nathan Williamson's colours, back last, storms home out wide, runs home better than 28 seconds, did it nicely. Now, she went to the qualifying trials the week before and won impressively in 3:02. Family of Chicago Bull. She lines up at Northern Southland on Saturday in race number 3. And I thought she was one of the bets of the day, if not the bet of the weekend. Utah Jazz, an outstanding performance. The release this week, boys, well, it comes from Cromwell. A horse that was disappointing both days at the Cromwell meeting. The first day, here it is here, back on the inside, Vincetto. Got a lovely trip. I think Nathan Williamson aboard, fullback on the inside. Comes out at the top of the lane, just battles to run 7th. Ends up running 7th on the second day when going out 3rd favourite. And of course, prior to that, lined up at the Wyndham meeting as a short price 2nd favourite there, and got a beaut trip in the 1-1. Just battled the last 150 metres and end up running 9th. So quite short in the market in its last 3 starts. It goes to the release bin this week. It's had 19 old starts. Its first couple look really good, but not at a short price quote in the future for Vincetto. We're going to take a break here on Trackside 1, but before we go to the break, one of my favourite horses in Chokin, winning the 1994 Miracle Mile.
Chokin is the leader on the turn. Chokin heads up a length in front of Sable Eyes. The mare's about to get out and come after the New Zealander. Chokin in front of Sable Eyes. Further out then is Franco Tiger, but it's Chokin in front of the Miracle Mile. Sable Eyes trying hard, but it's a New Zealand victory. Chokin wins the Miracle Mile by a length.
And here's my Field Marshal winding up from the back of the field. It's Soho Tribeca, Jillaby Kung Fu. Over the top is my Field Marshal. Soho Tribeca, my Field Marshal. And it's going to be my Field Marshal on the line. Grand victory. My Field Marshal wins the Miracle Mile. It's a Southern Hemisphere record. And it goes to my Field Marshal, the first ever sub 147.
And the fastest man in the Southern Hemisphere, hailing from right here in Christchurch, has joined us on the box seat. Anthony Butt, great to have you here on the show. I'm sure you're looking forward to a weekend that's been very good to you in the past, and this might be one for the ages this weekend.
Yeah, good evening, Matt. Yeah, it's going to be a great race, great field, and got 2 champions in there, and, they might give my Field Marshal's record a shake.
Morning, Ants, or good evening, Ants. My apologies. Look like morning where you are. Good evening. Mate, he looks like he's in great form. I know Sonia, your partner, has worked really closely with Tack McLeod. What's been the key to that?
Well, he came over in great order, Mick. He obviously had that hiccup during the end of the Minions when he had the foot abscess, but he came down to Victoria and he just sort of took a couple of weeks to settle in, really, with different environment, and we had trouble with a dry cough for a couple of weeks, and I know Mark had it as well. But yeah, Sonia got to work and worked the magic, and once he got over that, he really thrived, and his runs the last sort of 6 or 8 weeks have all been fantastic. So now he seems in a really good place at the moment.
Probably the thing that has stunned a lot of us, Ants, is this blazing gate speed. We think the Australians are quick off the gate. He might be close to the quickest horse off the gate, not only in this race, but in any sort of racing over there. What do you do with that weapon this week? And it's a 2-part question, Ants. If you manage to get to the marker pegs first, would you like to stay there or follow one of the big 2 or in fact 3?
Yeah, he has got blazing gate speed, Mick. For a big horse, he's very quick, with instant acceleration. And but no, that's our, plan A will be to get the pegs first. And, there's a bit of speed inside him, but, a few of the ones that have got really good gate speed, they seem to not be as good at the finish if they use it too much. So I'm hoping that the drivers sort of take that into account, but it'll take a pretty good one to hold them out anyway. So, but yeah, if we can get to the pegs first, it gives us a lot of options then.
And she might have shocked a few people in the race and watching last week with your driver board, Tack McLeod. Is that something that you pondered during the week, or was there a moment that when you were doing the form it popped into your head that, hey, there might actually be a chance for me to get a pretty good run here?
Well, yeah, I thought we had to roll the dice from the draw. You know, it was a terrifically strong heat, so I could see a lot of horses missing out, you know, as we say with Merlin and Don't Stop Dreaming, not getting in the race because it was such a strong heat. So, no, I wanted to come out sort of all guns a-blazing and didn't really think I'd end up in the trail early. So, no, that was just a bit of luck, really, that the gap opened up and a couple of other drivers probably had the option to go there. But, you know, luckily I got there first.
And there's two horses in this race who are very much your type of horses. Great stayers, true horses who you can throw anything at and they keep coming back. Swayze and Leap to Fame. Away from yourself and Tack McLeod, knowing what you know about those two horses and knowing what you know about Miracle Miles, who's the better chance of those two?
I think Leap to Fame, he's just an out-and-out champion. He's just a winner. Mick, he just keeps... he finds a way to win when he probably shouldn't, you know, a lot of the times. But I think over the mile, it just does bring them back to the field a little bit. And, you know, as I said, Don Hugo's been racing terrifically well as well. So, you know, I don't think it's a two-horse race. And, you know, hopefully with those two in it, you know, hopefully they've got to sort of cancel each other out or, you know, one's got to take care of the other. So it just brings us, the rest of us, into it a bit. And obviously we'll need a lot of luck and a perfect run sort of thing, but no, I think over the mile we're a lot closer to them where we may, you know, say over 2 mile.
And with that gate speed, there are supposedly, it looks like on paper, at least one slot, maybe more, available for the race by Butcher. Do you think the connections will be keen to bring him back home for the race at Cambridge if he gets through this Saturday all healthy and happy?
Yeah, that's the plan, Mick. We've been in talks with one of the slot holders, and he's down to 2 horses now, us and Luke McCarthy's horse. So, but that, you know, Luke McCarthy's horse, they've got their own slot in the Perth race, so hopefully they go there. So, no, that's the plan. If he was going to go home after Saturday night, but if he gets a slot into the race at Cambridge, I'm going to take him back to Melbourne and have another 2 or 3 weeks there, and then we'll bring him over, you know, close to the race.
And if you manage to get up on Saturday night, make sure you give us a big fist pump, eh?
You want to get it early in the night because you mightn't get much sense out of me afterwards.
Brilliant. Great to have you on, Ants. Good luck.
Thanks, boys.
From one great to another, Zachary Butcher joins us on the line. Zach, you and I both grew up, I guess, watching the great A-Butt doing his business, and I'm sure you would have picked up a few tricks along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Watching him the other night, that was a spectacular drive to get Tack McLeod in that final. So something that I wish I could have done. It's a race I've always wanted to be in. Unfortunately, it wasn't this year, but best of luck to Ants and the team there.
Evening, Zachary. It looked like a lot of fun with It's Merlin on Saturday night. When he got his head inside the gate, it's very rare for such a beautifully mannered horse to get so stirred up. What did you do to him?
Yeah, things just weren't going my way, I guess. Sort of gone back and looked at the whole experience, and there was a lot to learn out of it. Got up behind the gate, and obviously the first plan was to run off and sort of see what the rest of them did.
So, Zachary, we all understand there's nothing can be done about what happened at the start last week. 25-1 the first quarter. These things happen. You were attacked by a horse you couldn't hand up to. But speaking to Scotty and Barry today, they said It's Merlin not going to start this week in the race he won last year. He's scratched and he's going to come here home to prep.
Yeah, obviously that tough run, you know, it's a very hard track, that Menangle, and obviously on to the Betcher race, which is one he won last year. So we're really hoping we can get a draw and a little bit of luck in that race. You know, these are the ones we want to be in, and like I said, unfortunately we couldn't make the Miracle Mile. So hopefully we can gather ourselves back up and hopefully I'll produce a bit of a better drive to get a bit more luck.
Have you thought to yourself, what if Merlin draws bad? You've got Duchess Megxit who's going to draw 1. Are you going to be a little bit torn or is the decision already made?
No, you can't jump ship, I think, off Merlin. He's been such a great horse to me. Not saying that Duchess hasn't, you know, she's a superstar, but it's a big ask, I guess, for a mare like her. She's got to jump up in that big grade. I don't think she'll disgrace herself by any means. She's going to draw good, and she's shown that she's probably good enough. Well, definitely good enough to be in a race like that. But yeah, Big Merlin, you know, he's been such a great horse, so I think you've got to stay loyal.
Zach, she's back this Friday night over 1700 at Alexandra Park. You were very kind to her at the trials last week at Pukekohe. Are you going to be kind to her this week, go back at the start, and point blank, because she's odds on, what chance do you give her of winning this week for our viewers who feel like a punt?
Yeah, great chance. Just nice and quiet the other day at the trials, which is sort of, you know, what we planned to do with her. Sort of never looked like she got the line that good, but she's quite funny. When I didn't go for the gaff and pull the plug, she sort of just relaxed with me a wee bit. But underneath her, she definitely felt pretty strong. So we all know she's got the speed. I think we can just drop her in. I know it's 1,700 metres, but I think her running the Queen of Hearts sort of showed how quick she is to run a horse down like Princess Meritate, and I think she's definitely quick enough to run those ones down.
Okay, she's $1.65 this week, Zach. So just to reiterate that for the punters, no blasting off the gate unless things change behind the gate, but the plan wouldn't be fresh up with all that big money up in a month's time to go blasting off the gate with her.
No, I don't think so. It's a building block to a bigger picture with her, and obviously for the connections, the main aim is that $1 million race, and I'm fully on board to making sure she's in peak condition for that. So unless every horse decides to pull back off the gate and we land there easy, yeah, we'll definitely be looking for a slot in, I would say. And like I said, I still have the belief in her that she's probably too quick for them.
Zach, I've got one more question for you, putting you on the spot a wee bit, but you won't mind that because you're a quick thinker. Miracle Mile this Saturday night, now that you're not in it, if you could drive one horse, who would it be and what would you do?
To be fair, I'd have to go Larry, Leap to Fame. He obviously won the Newcastle Mile, so he's coming into this a little bit fresher. Obviously, he's a freak horse, but there was some tough racing the other night. Swayze, he had a tough run. Tack McLeod, he had to burn early, so I don't know. Are they coming in on tied legs? A week later, it's hard to say, but we've seen how much of a champion he is, and how would you drive him? Take luck out of the equation, I guess. I know there's gate speed inside of him. Roll to where you got to be without burning too hard, and yeah, dictate terms from wherever you might end up, and I think he's going to be awfully hard to beat, too.
All right, Zach, good luck this Friday night with Duchess Megs. It'll be great to have her back, and thanks for joining us.
No, appreciate it, boys.
Well, let's head to the break and relive the Miracle Mile, won by one of Canterbury's favourites, Monkey King.
Here's Monkey King. Carlu Mix running a huge race. Auckland Reactor down the outside. Smoke It Up, Bell Park Major. Grabbed by Monkey King in the centre. Monkey King grabbed the lead. Smoke It Up trying hard. But Monkey King, the New Zealand Cup winners, done it again. 150.8. They've smashed the record.
Here's what's happening this week in New Zealand harness racing. We kick off on Wednesday out of Oamaru with Heat 1 of the Never Are Macca Lodge, Southland Oaks. Next, we head to Friday Night Lights with the listed Dunstan I Can Do's It handicap trot from Alexandra Park. Friday Night Lights will also feature the last 6 races from Westport, including the Buller Chartered Accountants Kawateri Cup. It's a massive Saturday at Ascot Park as they host the Northern Southland Trotting Club with the Group 3 feature, the Caduceus Club of Southland Alabar Fillies Classic. On the Sunday session, we head over to Reefton for their annual meeting, which features the Grey Valley Cup. You can catch all the action on Trackside or trackside.co.nz. Michael, you're not heading home for a wee coast trip this weekend?
One of the great regrets of my work life is that I haven't been to the Westport Trots for 35 years. I will go one day, but unfortunately Boxing Day is also kind of big for racing up home. This weekend's even bigger. But yes, I am determined to get to Reefton and Westport at some stage.
You won't be disappointed, I can guarantee you that. Let's crack into our preview of the races this weekend. Kicking off with Alexandra Park. They've got some decent races there. Their first race we're looking at is the 4th. It is the listed I Can Do's It handicap trot. We've got the Wallace Hackett trio that we've spoken about. 2,200 metre stand, as you said. Makes it interesting for Kai Valley Hotspur, but the money's saying he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, I backed him today because I thought 250 was too long. The problem he does face is there's lots of very quick beginners here. Romeo Foxtrot, American Muscle, Lord Popinjay, so they could really Shanghai the field and make it hard for him. But he is an open class horse. There's only 5 rivals and he should be in the 1-1 at some stage. Maybe it's not even to the 400 that happens, but he should still win. So I don't think there's anything there flat out good enough to beat him, and the field's not big enough. When they're off 30 metres, big field is a bigger problem than a 6-horse field. So I think he still wins, and that's why he's been 2.5 to, I reckon he'll start odds on. I reckon he'll start $1.80.
What about last week, the run of the Hoka Connor? He goes around in race 5. You sent out the warning signal to us. Look, it could have gone either way, but he clearly needed the run and probably the look around Alexandra Park as well.
Well, the signal goes the other way this week. He is enormous odds. I see this as a 2-horse race, and Duchess Meg's, you can't take $1.65. You just can't, it's too short. He's $6.50 to $5.50. He'll start about $3.80 because I think most of the horses inside him, with the exception of Lee Major, would hand up to him. You've just been told on the box seat that they will go back on Duchess Megxit. You've been told that. So if that happens and he rolls forward, there's every chance he rolls to the lead. You couldn't back him last week. I'm glad we got something right for once and got that one right. You can back him this week, providing they don't just put the flag up at the start. They shouldn't now they know about Duchess Megxit. The $5.50, even if he doesn't win, Matt, it's a good bet because it's the right price.
Okay, we'll take that. Heading down to Ascot Park on Saturday. I think if you want a driver to follow down there, you can have a scroll through Nathan Williamson's drives. You heard from Craig the Whale Thompson earlier about Utah Jazz. He's got hidden talent. And he'll also drive Princess McAndrew in the 2-year-old feature. Now, these are all on debut, Michael, but they don't trial too much better than her.
156 winning at the trials by 16 lengths 2 trials ago. She only won by a nose in the latest trial, but she was under a stranglehold, and it was obviously an educational experience. There were 3 in the trial, 2 of them are here, and she was driven just to get past them and learn. Now, I don't know she'll beat Better Bell. You're telling me Better Bell goes very well, and often I think the Canterbury 2-year-old form is better than the Southland 2-year-old form. But you're right, they just don't go 156 at the trials before they've been to the races.
Better Bell's from the Crown and Chrissy Delgetti stable, and I've noticed a mild switch in terms of how they're trialling their horses, at least recently. You've seen Beside Me to the trials, haven't opened her up, cuddled up and behind. Very Mark Purdon-like. Go to the trials for a fitness builder, and Better Bell has been in that boat. I spoke to Carter today. They like the filly and she'll keep improving. He thinks she might be able to get off the gate and play a part, but all things being equal, after what we've seen from the trials of Princess McAndrew, will be hard to roll there in the 2-year-old fillies feature. Autumn Cup down there at Ascot Park as well. McAndrew Aviator returns to the races. Last preparation placed in the Morris Holmes Vase, New Brighton Cup and the Hannon. He has to start off the back, Mark Michael, against what should be a very much improved Wag Star.
Yeah, that's the key, how much Wag Star's improved. He's a big lump of a horse and he would have needed that fresh up run. I think everybody knows Wag Star's got an open class motor, so I'll stick with Wag Star. I think he's going to go pretty close to ending up in a New Zealand Cup in about 9 months.
Looking forward to that down there on trackside 2 on Saturday. Craig Rail will be calling you the action, and I reckon I wouldn't be surprised to see Nathan Williamson come away with 3 or 4 winners across the day. Well, we heard Michael Guerin. He's had 35 miracle miles.
I reckon it's 30. Funny enough, the first day I ever met Adam Hamilton was at the Miracle Mile in 1992. So unfortunately for both of us, we've known each other for 33 years. Evening to you, Wonder Boy. Back then you had a mullet. And you thought you knew a lot about harness racing. Now you have no mullet, and finally you do know a lot about harness racing, so welcome to the show.
Yeah, evening fellas. Gee, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Some incredible Miracle Mile chapters. For all of the great races, probably so many of the amazing memories come out of the Miracle Mile, don't they, Mick? You know, the drama, the theatre of the race, the build-up to it. It's just been incredible over the years.
And also, I think the Miracle Mile, Adam, taught Peter V'landys what he needed to know about the Everest. I think it was the catalyst, even though Gallops people don't want to hear this, for what the Everest became, because both were, you know, partially born out of that controversy for Peter V'landys. I know you love this week's field. We would like to see a couple more Kiwis in there, but to be perfectly honest, they probably wouldn't be good enough to win, Adam. What do you make of it now that the market has settled down and you've had a chance to digest the draws? I'm sure you've spoken to everybody. Who ends up where and who wins?
Gee, look, I'm going to say it's as good a Miracle Mile as we've seen this century. I think you got to go back to, you know, maybe the Lazarus, Lenny the Shark time and the depth that was around those horses for something that comes close. But I think the most decisive moment of the barrier draw wasn't where Leap to Fame drew. Yes, it was a setback, but I think it was Swayze drawing 2. It looked amazing, and then all of a sudden an emergency gets 1 and he's drawn barrier 1. I think it makes a massive difference to the race. Now I believe that Leap to Fame will settle in front of Swayze, and it's not a given, but I think it's more likely than not. And I think that really gives him a chance to go, or a huge chance to go back to back, because if you look at them, they've clashed 5 times. There he is, Swayze winning last week, and what an incredible performance it was. 3 and 4 wide early in that 25-1 quarter, and he still keeps rolling. So, but they've clashed 5 times. Leap to Fame's won 3 of them. The 2 times that Swayze has beaten him, Swayze's been able to lead in longer races and dictate. I just can't see a scenario where that happens this week, fellas.
Now, interesting one, Adam. I spoke to Grant Dixon on the radio yesterday in Sydney, and I said, any chance you follow Tack McLeod across? And usually Grant is very conservative in his pre-race comments. I get the feeling he's going to do exactly that. I think he is going to think, with this wonderful, wonderful horse, he's now got enough horse, and I think if he gets on to Tack McLeod sulky and follows him across, I think everybody in harness racing expects the leads there. I'm not saying that will happen, Adam, but we both speak to Grant a lot. That's the feeling I get that he wants to try and achieve.
Absolutely. Well, the race within the race, as I've outlined before, is Leap to Fame's getting in front of Swayze. I'm not sure it's the 2-horse race that we've seen over the last 18 months with this pair. It's clear 2 things. The gap's closing a little bit. Don Hugo was unbelievable last week to sit parked in 148.3 and 148.8 and do what he did. Just an enormous performance. If Leap to Fame did it, we'd all be raving about him. But yes, just tactically, I think Grant likes this horse from wider draws, and having Tack McLeod there, as you've outlined, there's a little chance Tack McLeod could cross them all. And if not, he's going to get to the running line and across quickly and then out of Leap to Fame's way. So I think you've virtually read my mind with how I would play it if I was Grant.
Captain Ravishing, Catch a Wave. Well, Catch a Wave, I guess, is the most interesting horse, Adam, because he's won a Miracle Mile in the past. Captain Ravishing, the improver. Catch a Wave, the quirky one. Sometimes we don't know which version of him's going to turn up, but for some reason he loves Menangle.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's had 3 Group 1 races over a mile at Menangle, and he's won them all. Last week, obviously, a Group 2, and he ran second and would have won in another 5 metres. So clearly he loves the track and the distance, but, I mean, there hasn't been that many Miracle Miles where there's been a barrier 8, but still no horse has been able to do it. Leap to Fame won from 7 last year. Look, he's going to be last and on the outside, and can he make up that ground on all of them? Gee, it's a huge ask. I mean, they ran home in 27.5 in those qualifiers last week. I think they'll run home in quicker than that, and mathematically it makes it so hard. Captain Ravishing's fascinating. I loved his run last week. Can he back it up? Will he improve on it? Will he be able to reproduce it? I'm not sure, but he does add another dimension to the race.
We'll talk about race 6 in just a second. 2 questions for you. Early Crow, we've got an Early Crow market here on tab.co.nz, so I want to know who you think is going to win that. And if you had your life riding on one horse on Saturday night to win the race, who will it be?
Yeah. Well, the second question's Leap to Fame. I think anyone who wouldn't want Leap to Fame beside him in a battle is probably not really reading the greatness of the horse. But back to your first question. Look, Tack McLeod's the obvious one, but you know there's a little X factor here. If they unleashed Captain Ravishing, I just think he's worth a ticket at $6.50. I think there's a little chance they could just pull the ripcord on him this week. And if you go back to that Eureka last, 15, 18 months ago, he led that on his ear. So for value, him, but the obvious Tack McLeod.
Race number 6, Don't Stop Dreaming, features in there. We've got Nyack, who was used up hard at the start last week as well. Captain's Knock also. This is a bit of an intriguing race. Should we be worried at all that Don't Stop Dreaming's run last week could have flattened him a wee bit?
Look, I was flat out disappointed with him last week, and I spoke to Kate Gath, and she said he just didn't feel the same horse. We've got a little bit of a body of work to say that maybe he's not as good at Menangle. I don't know what to put it down to. His previous form in Victoria was outstanding. I mean, if he ran up to Cranbourne, even if he ran up to Terang, from that draw, he would be an absolute standout now that there's no Merlin in the race, and he'd even drawn poorly anyway, Merlin. But he's too much of a risk for me. Don't Stop Dreaming. I don't know what to read into last week unless Michael Guerin can shed any light on it, but he was flat out disappointing. I thought Captain's Knock was the value in the race. He never has much go right, but I still think he's flying.
Yeah, I like him too, Adam. I just think Don't Stop Dreaming, the further he gets into campaigns, we're learning he doesn't like them much. I think he's a horse they need to do shorter bursts with, although I'm not really going to try and tell Mark Purdon how to train horses. What about the trot? Because Oscar and I think the Locomotive are relatively similar horses. I think the Locomotive is maybe a new improved version of Oscar, but Oscar's won this barrier draw by a long way.
He has, but two little things here. And I'll be up front. I'm going to tip Kiyang Chucky. I think Kiyang Chucky is 5 to 10% better than he was in a Dominion time. I also think they can really buzz him off the gate from where he's drawn in the middle. You guys have seen more of Oscar than I have. I just worry a little bit about Barrier 1 and whether he can absolutely blaze out. He's just been a touch iffy at the start. If he was able to lead or even sit behind the leader, he's got a massive chance. The Locomotive, I don't think, can cross Kiyang Chucky. If you go back to the Inter-Dominion, Kiyang Chucky handed up on that occasion as we look at the Locomotive in action there. But obviously, I just think that Kiyang Chucky's the value. And I know the stable think, we'll put it this way, if he leads, there's no handing up this time. No handing up. That was Oscar Bonavina, obviously, winning there at Menangle the other night in an easier race. But I think this is Kiyang Chucky's chance to show that he's not just a place getter, but he can be a winner in these big races.
Adam, you're close to the Emma Stewart camp and they will dominate the Derby this week. It's quite a strong Derby, and obviously Grant Dixon has a really lovely horse in there too, but the raps on Always Hot are enormous, and so far they look very justified.
Yeah, he looks a bit special. When you've got the stable saying he could be our next ride high, you've got to stand up and really listen to that. They're not really a spruiking stable. He just looks to have it all. Did it easily against older rivals last week. Yes, he's drawn out wide, but it's the long distance. He can work his way into it. Fadeaways, there's going to be a lot of pressure from those other Emma Stewart quick beginners in the race, like the highlight reel. I think the Fadeaways is top shelf, but I just think Always Hot might be absolutely in the zone for this race at the moment. Put it this way, I think Always Hot right now will be as hard as horse to beat as any in the Tab Eureka, and that's against 4-year-olds. So I think he's an absolute star in the making, this guy.
Adam, as much as it's really hard to tell whatever goes on in Jason Grimson's mind when it comes to Swayze, because he's pulled off some incredibly radical things, for our punters, do you think there's any chance he has an interest in taking a slot in the race by Betcha? Because obviously he's heading to Perth, but for this horse, 3 weeks or even 2 weeks, if they want a lead-up run at Gloucester Park, is nothing after some of the things we've seen him do in the last 6 months. Just want to give people a bit of a warning here and see if you've got any insight to that, because clearly that would change the dynamic of the market.
Look, what can you say? I mean, He's been in about 3 races we haven't expected him in recent times. So maybe there's a chance. For what it's worth, he said straight to us on TV last weekend or a weekend or so back that Captain Ravishing is a horse that he'd love to get into the race by Betcher. I'll tell you one horse I'm hearing rumblings about that could turn up in New Zealand. There's a little chance, more than a little chance maybe, that if Don Hugo goes well this week, he may attempt to run in both races.
Okay. What about the trot? Because obviously we know we're not going to get Kiang Zahara, so we know the Locomotive is coming. Who are the other Australians who are confirmed and or going good enough? Because the Locomotive we know could run with Muscle Mountain and Oscar Bonavina. Could the other ones run with those horses? Is it worth bringing some of the others? And is RC Phoenix still in fact coming?
Yeah, well, good question. All those things to be absolutely decided. I think it's a little question mark on RC Phoenix. I want to see what he does like this coming weekend in a race that'll give us a lot better indication. Kiang Chucky absolutely should go. I mean, it makes sense. If you're saying the Locomotive's a massive chance, I genuinely believe there's nothing between the Locomotive and Kiang Chucky. So he should be going. There's talk about not as promised. We know he was a top youngster. He looks to have come back exceptionally well. And obviously there's a spot there for Queen Elida if she's going well enough at the time. But I think you're really looking to the Locomotive and also Kiang Chucky as our absolute top chances from Australia.
Adam, just before we let you go, you've tipped us Leap to Fame to win the Miracle Mile. And not that it matters to some people, but it matters to me because I'm interested. How fast do you think he'll go?
I think they're going to be in the 147s. The only worry is this weather. They are predicting a fair bit of rain. If they get a little bit of rain, the track can be quicker. If they get a lot of rain, then it might slow them down a bit. But conditions are okay. I'm going to go 147.2.
147.2. We'll hold you to that next week. Thanks for joining us, Adam. Have a fun weekend.
Good on you, fellas.
Have you got a time for me, Michael?
Well, there's so much
140 something.
It all depends on the cyclone.
You've got to give me a time, though.
I think it'll be windy because cyclones bring with the wind, and therefore I think they'll go 148 something. Ironically, a lot of times the preludes of the Miracle Mile are run faster, and if Leap to Fame gets around them and rolls to the front, I think he's a chance of doing that outside Tack McLeod, then he won't want to go any faster.
How fast do you think Greg will think they'll go?
Greg, I asked Greg, he said 141.
141? Oh my golly.
That'll stitch Susan right for having 2 weeks off.
Oh,
Susan Wright. Actually, have we got a photograph of Greg? I sent it to our producer, Jason. No, we haven't got it. So
we can't show that.
So Greg was sending me photographs from Vegas last week, and he was in like league heaven because Greg's a leaguey and a golfie.
Warriors went good.
Yeah, Warriors was super. But he actually bumped into my favourite league player, Jonathan Thurston, and I was actually quite jealous because I love Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
one of the great laughs.
Only time in my life, apart from the day he got married, I've been jealous of Greg. I thought to myself,
righto.
Why am I doing this while you're in Vegas?
Best bet?
I like a horse in the first race. And last week I said to you when we went up here, I said there's a horse up north who's a proper horse, and it's a horse I would advise somebody to buy. Well, he's racing this week from Barrier 1, Roy Kent. He's up against Demon Blue and he's up against Iron Brigade. He's drawn on his back. I think he's a 5-win horse. He may be more than a 5-win horse, and I'm happy to take 2.7 to find out.
Do you know what I love?
Tony Hurley?
His new helmet.
You love his helmet?
And his new helmet looks so good on him.
I didn't see that coming.
Okay. Well, look out on Friday night. Have a look.
Greg loves Jonathan Thurston.
We know that. What's Craig the Whale Thompson got? Utah Jazz. This will be one of about 5 winners, I would say, for Nathan Williamson there on Saturday.
Well, you said before he was going to drive 3 or 4, so
well,
now he's going to drive 5.
I'm hopeful for him that it's 5.
What's changed in the last 10 minutes?
Well, I'm hopeful for him that it's 5.
I must admit, when I look at the fields of Southland, he's the first person I look to.
He's a gun.
I think he's one of the best trainers in the country.
Okay, my best. I'm going to go to Westport because I love supporting the coast. This horse absolutely gave them a left-handed, right-handed, whatever you call it, spanking at Addington the other night. A spanking.
And Michael Heenan has a very good record on the coast when he takes horses across there. So I wish I could go. It'd be fun. Are you going?
Hood on, blinds up, shillelagh under the arm, running a 27 and change last quarter.
Are you going to Westport?
I'm going to Westport, but Andy McCook's calling.
So what are you going there for?
Stable handing. Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, mate.
So you're going
you
to
should have learnt that a long
watch the
time
Miracle
ago.
Mile at 11:45 in a pub in Westport.
Well, one of us has to support the coast because you clearly don't anymore.
No, I owe too much money to go home. I will get there at some stage. I actually missed Kamara this year too. It's heartbreaking.
So did I. Well, I can't get a go because George keeps going there.
I've got a tip, I need a tip for you. I know it's cross-coding. Who's going to win the NZB Kiwi?
Pivotal 10.
Pivotal 10?
Pivotal 10 will bounce out. There'll be a bit of speed. She'll slot down 4th or 5th and pounce.
I hope you're right. I love seeing win. I hope you're right. But
there's no other horse I'll be cheering for.
I went to track work and saw Evaporate on Monday morning. He looked really at home. I'm going to back Perfumist each way. I've already backed Evaporate at $12. I'm going to back Perfumist.
Pivotal 10 will win by 4. Easily.
Do you ever leave the South Island?
No, I don't, actually. Well, it's been great to have you, but it's going to be great to see the back of you nonetheless next week when Greg gets back.
Yep, I'm looking forward to him getting back. Thanks, Abby, for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, that Miracle Mile, 11:45 on trackside, and to everybody here with a huge week on trackside. I hope they enjoyed. I hope it's the success everybody's hoping for on both codes.
I can't believe you would think, Greg would think that they'll go 141
That's
on the
what he said to
Miracle
me.
Mile.
That's what he said to me.
So Adam's 147.2, Greg's 141, you're 148 point what? You've got to give me a...
148.1.
148.1.
And what do you go for?
I'm going to go 148.9. There we go.
Okay.
And whoever wins, well, it doesn't really matter. There's
I'll
nothing
text you
in
after
it.
the Miracle Mile. You'll be in a pub in a Westport.
I won't reply, probably. Great to have you down here.
It's been good fun.
Good couple of weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what unfolds. And then, hey, very quickly, we're into the race spot picture. This is going to come up awfully fast because it's almost a carnival. The week before now, with Merlin not starting at Menangle this week, he'll need to start in the mile the week before. And I think Leap to Fame might too. So we might get 2 bites at the Leap to Fame considerable apple during the carnival there at Cambridge, and it's going to be here awfully quick.
Don't forget that early crow market on tab.co.nz for the Garrard's Miracle Mile. We'll catch that on Saturday night right here on Tracksides. That's been the box seat for another 7 days. He's been Michael Guerin. We look forward to having Greg O'Connor, him and Craig the Well Thompson back on the show next week, and we'll chat about who wins the Miracle Mile. We'll find that out on Saturday night. Catch you later.